Good morning. The committee will come to order, and thank you all for being here today. To begin with, I ask unanimous consent that a former member of the committee, Ms. Titus, be allowed to sit at the dais and ask questions. She's had a great interest in this issue for years. Hearing no objection, so ordered. This hearing will focus on VA's implementation of the Veterans Appeals Improvement and Modernization Act of 2017, or thankfully we'll have the acronym AMA, which substantially reforms VA's appeals process. This topic is important to each one of us on this panel. And in fact, every member of this committee is an original co-sponsor of the legislation. We all agree that the success of this reform is critical because the current appeals process is failing veterans miserably. Right now, VA has a backlog of more than 470,000 appeals, and many veterans will end up waiting at least 6 years just for the decision on their appeal. And I can assure you that every one of us in our districts are hearing this, and every veteran town hall that I hear, there's much focus on this issue. Veterans and their families deserve better. They deserve to have the VA decide their appeals accurately and within a reasonable amount of time. During the previous administration, then Secretary McDonald brought VSOs and other veterans advocates together to develop a legislative proposal to address the appeals backlog. Secretary Shulkin continued to work with VSOs to improve the original proposal. This committee took the current proposal and worked on a bipartisan basis to get it through the House and sent it to the President's desk. But passing the bill was only the first step. We intend to continue to work closely with VA and the stakeholders to ensure that veterans who file an appeal receive an accurate decision in a more timely manner. And we know this will not be easy. The AMA makes significant changes to the current process, and VA faces challenges implementing the law by the anticipated effective date. But I am hopeful that the Department is up to this challenge, and because it was VA itself that requested the law's February 19, 2019 effective date, to help ensure the VA's implementation of reform uses sound planning processes and practices, and the law requires a high level of transparency from VA. First of these reports, the comprehensive plan, was intended to outline how VA expects to transition to the new system while at the same time addressing the backlog of pending appeals. On November 23, 2017, VA submitted its comprehensive plan outlining its progress and timeline for implementing the new law. Unfortunately, VA's initial report lacked many details. GAO has reviewed VA's plan, and I look forward to hearing from the Comptroller General's assessment. In particular, I'm looking forward to GAO's input on how VA can better implement the reform so that we can finally have an appeals process that works for our nation's veterans. I'm also interested in learning whether there are additional efficiencies that VA can leverage to more effectively and timely process the backlog of legacy appeals, a huge deal in most districts. VA's current plan to reduce the existing backlog is to use the authority we gave it to test a new appeals system. VA's plan is called the Rapid Appeals Modernization Program, or RAMP. Under RAMP, many veterans who have appeals pending are being given the option to withdraw their existing appeal and to transfer to the new system. I have several concerns about RAMP, including why the board, which has more than 170,000 pending appeals, is not included in the program. Another concern is the lack of veteran participation in RAMP. VA has indicated that the data gathered from RAMP will help inform decisions on implementation of the reforms. However, according to VA, only 3% of eligible veterans have chosen to participate in the program. Unless more veterans participate in RAMP, it's hard to see how VA will collect enough data to develop an effective plan to successfully implement appeals reform. Realistically, VA is running out of time to address these issues if the Department hopes to implement the new system by February of 2019. In light of the low participation in RAM, I'm hopeful that VA will share with us some additional ideas for a data-driven approach to prepare for full implementation of the new appeals system. I hope that we will be able to have a productive discussion on ways to assist veterans with legacy appeals and to ensure that the transition to the new system will be seamless. Comptroller General, I know that your team has been very involved in considering some of the challenges for implementation. I'm looking forward to your expertise on this issue. Everyone here wants the same thing: to develop an appeals process that will give veterans accurate and timely decisions on their claims. Before we begin the hearing, I want to say that in our last full committee hearing, I mistakenly credited the wrong Veteran Service Organization for helping with the construction of the new Aurora Hospital dedicated to treating veterans with spinal cord injuries. And I recently visited that facility. And of the many things that are not going right at that facility, this is one of the shining stars, I think. It was an incredible visit. And I think it's going to be one of the, probably, if not one of the best spinal cord injury treatment facilities in the world. I absolutely believe that. And I wanted to correct the record and personally thank the Paralyzed Veterans of America for their work in Denver and for all they do for our veterans. I want to apologize for misspeaking and look forward to continuing the invaluable partnerships and friendships we have within our VSO partners. I will now yield to Ranking Member Walz for any opening statements that he may have.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And